So what's your bug out plan? I mean, what are you going to do when it gets crazy? Are you going to run and hide? Are you prepared when it hits the fan, whatever it is? Well, wake up leaders. This is Glenn Guyton, your cultural futurist, keynote speaker, coming at you today to talk about just some interesting things that are going on. As a cultural futurist, I want to pay attention to trends and how it may impact you and your workplace. So, hey, this is my bug out bag. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but hey, I want to be prepared in case something ever happens. These are some supplies that I have for me and my family. If the power goes out, if who knows what's going to happen in today's society. So I'm prepared. I'm not a doomsday prepper, but I do a little bit of preparation, right? Things have happened in the past, and so I have a few items in here. I have some road flares and a blanket, a thing where I can drink water, just in case my family and I have to go somewhere or we get stranded in the car. I want to be prepared. And I hope that you are prepared in your workplace, prepared for what is to come in the future. And as a futurist, one of the things I like to do is to look at trends. What's going on? What's happening? What are some of the warning signs of things to come? And we have to pay attention to those things as business leaders, as organizational leaders. We depend on people to staff our workplaces. We depend on stability to ensure that we have the resources that we need. And so what are some things that we should be paying attention to? Well, one of the things that I'm paying attention to is that people are bugging out. Yes, people are actually leaving the US. And one of the studies that I read, it says that Americans are the fastest growing group of applicants for long-term visas and passports for other countries. So a lot of wealthy people are leaving the US. And that's something that we should be paying attention to. And some of these people aren't just going on vacation, but they are moving to these other countries. And so why? Why are people leaving the US, leaving the greatest country on earth? What is the data telling us? Well, first of all, we are in a period of growing instability. For a while, we were the world leaders. We still are the world leaders, but our future is not as certain, especially during the time of globalization. As you know, we are entering into a very weird political time. So people are increasingly uncomfortable with what the future might bring. And you as a business leader probably should be a little bit uncomfortable too, but not uncomfortable in regards to panicking, but uncomfortable to say that, hey, we need a strategy. We need a plan. What's our bug out plan, right? When I built this bag, when I put these things together, there were certain items that I knew that we needed. A radio to communicate, a blanket to keep warm, a way of drinking water, a way to power our electronic devices. Those are all things that are essential in my bug out bag. And so as you think about the instability that we have in our nation, the increasing globalization of our economy, how are you preparing for the future? And also, I want you to think about the impact of social media and the political polarization that's going on now. How will that impact your workplace culture? Culture is a complex and multifaceted issue. So there's no one solution, and it's hard to prepare for one thing. But you do know that disruption is coming, and I want you to prepare for that. So just a few things to think about. Just understand, as we enter into this new season of political change, political unrest, as again, as we are a more global society, as people are leaving the U.S., understand there are certain things that will continue to impact your workplace culture and even impact your organizational dynamics. And you have to be prepared to deal with these things as a leader. Think about social media. Social media has become a significant factor in shaping organizational culture, impacting how employees interact and communicate within the workplace. The pervasive use of social media platform can blur the lines between personal and professional lives, leading to potential conflicts and misunderstanding. These platforms can amplify political polarization by creating echo chambers where individuals are exposed to similar viewpoints, reinforcing their existing beliefs and biases. And so we have to be ready for that. We have to create forums for people in our workplace to communicate. We have to be really clear about what's appropriate and what's inappropriate at work. And we also have to make sure that we are building trust within the work environment so that these outside factors won't negatively impact our culture. And all of these things can have an impact on communication and collaboration. Political polarizations exacerbated by social media can lead to a divided workplace where employees may feel hesitant to express their opinions or engage in discussions on politically sensitive topics. And maybe they shouldn't be talking about politics at work. But depending on what industry you're in, politics can definitely have an impact on the work that you do. I had to change some of my workplace practices when we shifted from the Obama administration to the Trump administration. That's just a normal part of life. And some of you deal with that on a regular basis. And so consider what's going to happen during this time of uncertainty and when we switch administrations. Research shows that organizational culture plays a crucial role in facilitating or impeding effective communication and conflict resolution. You create the culture. Normally, I start off this executive coffee break with my coffee in the hand, and I said, hey, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your workplace culture and your beverage. You can choose your workplace culture, and you should really be intentional about the behavior that you expect to see in the workplace. So what are the effects of employee behavior on performance? Well, you don't want everyone walking around mad and angry, right, at work. Oh, I sure hate coming to this place. Now, work is work. I have these conversations with my daughter often about her job. I think she has a very good job, a job that's very flexible, but she's not always as happy as she should be as a 20 plus year old person. And I say, hey, work is work. I know you're from the influencer generation. She's a Gen Z. You're from the influencer generation, and life is all about fulfillment and happiness. And we want to be fulfilled and happy at work, but it's still a job. But we can create a positive culture, a culture where people are enthusiastic about coming to work, where they feel rewarded, they feel valued, and that helps ease the burden of having to go to work every day. But if we have a bad environment, employees may experience stress, anxiety, especially when we introduce political tensions into this. It can reduce job satisfaction and, of course, productivity. And the presence of a polarized environment can lead to decreased motivation and engagement, as employees might feel unsupported or alienated because of differences in political views or other views. And so we have to pay attention to these things in the workplace. We have to learn how to talk and communicate with one another. That's one of the programs that I offer is culturally competent conversations, where we deal with the different aspects of communication and the bias that we all have. We all have bias. We all bring these things into the workplace. So how do we communicate better? How do we communicate more effectively so that we can create this cohesive work environment? And all that leads to a better job satisfaction, more commitment to the organization. When people know that you care about them, that you are prepared. Now, this doesn't mean that conflict isn't going to happen. Conflict is a normal part of the human condition. I often say that, hey, this organization would really run great if we didn't have people, right? If we didn't have the conflict that comes with human personalities. But as leaders, we have to deal with that. So we want to to mitigate the disruption that's going to happen. We want to reduce the level of polarization that occurs, that people bring into the workplace. People bring their bag of stuff with them when they come to work. And so as leaders and managers, you have a challenge before you. How do you navigate this world where social media, the mainstream media dominates our minds? It requires a nuanced approach. It requires some knowledge on your part. It requires some tools to help you get through these things. And there are some techniques that can really help you work through these things. So, hey, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to take you through some steps to help you learn how to communicate better in your workplace. But be prepared. Get your bag ready. Get all the tools ready so that you can have a team that trusts one another and that you work together with greater harmony and less stress. Just be mindful that the interaction of social media and political polarization presents a significant challenge to maintain a cohesive and a positive workplace. Organizations must strive to foster an environment that encourages open communication, that respects diverse viewpoints, and promotes inclusivity to mitigate the adverse effects of polarization. I always say that inclusion is for everyone, and it's your job as an organization to make that statement true, to value the diverse gifts and talents that are part of your workplace, to let everyone know how they fit into the organization so that they know what they contribute. And that leads to greater harmony and greater trust. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure you are prepared. And hey, there's nothing wrong with getting a second passport. There's nothing wrong with traveling to another country. But we want to pay attention to the reasons why. Why are people leaving our nation? And why are people leaving our organizations? Well, I hope that helps you today. My name is Glenn Guyton. You all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.